what does Popeye need revenge for? Well, I guess we're going to find out. But first, let's start with the IMDb plot. The legend of Popeye haunts a group of counselors as they intend to open summer camp. Um, I don't know. Did any of that happen? I don't know. So yeah, here we go with the continuing horror ambush on public domain. I will say just because some of these characters have become public domain doesn't necessarily mean we need a horror movie about them. I don't. I'm sorry. I know it's very easy to market, very easy to get out there. Maybe what sounds is a good idea, but it doesn't mean every character needs to be done. Doesn't mean all of them are good ideas. And I think I'm going to kind of use this one to kind of sound off here, before I even dive into this movie. But about this whole, public domain use in all these movies, I'm starting to kind of see a theme amongst them where, I'm a little bit divided because we're seeing some of them with some pretty decent kills and so forth, and it being bloody and messy and stuff that you guys know that I like. I enjoy all that. I enjoy killing and the blood and the guts and that kind of thing. But I think as far as quality stories again, I know I say it all the time, I'm just here for the blood and guts and so forth, and I don't always need a quality story. But I just think that because you're basing it on a character, that many of us already know, someone like Popeye, someone like Mickey, someone like Winnie the Pooh. There's a little bit more expectation there than maybe doing a slasher movie where you kind of invent your own character and story, and it doesn't really mean as much. So with those kind of stories, if the blood and guts are good, it doesn't really matter with anything else. But because you're basing it on another character, there's a little bit more of a higher expectation there. Wanting you to come up with something maybe a little bit more creative and maybe diving into those characters and pulling something from what they've done or we know them to do, and then do that. And then add the blood and guts. Um, but I I don't know. I'm very becoming very split. The more I've seen some of these movies, and no, I've not reviewed each one of them because you know I like I said, I end up here and I just don't know. Like I'm like I could say yes, I like the blood and guts of it, but I want to do something just a little bit, get into it a little bit more. I don't know. It just seems, the whole Winnie the Pooh kind of background to that kind of story is just a little bit odd. I at least see that they're attempting something there as far as their story and where it's kind of trying to go. But it in itself is a bit odd. And, they did involve, Christopher Robin and so forth. So they didn't ignore any of that. So there's at least some attempt there. But then I've seen some of these Mickey Mouse ones, and it's just I don't know what you're doing with Mickey Mouse and what you're trying to accomplish besides dressing up a mouse and having him kill somebody. I don't know. Again, it just kind of goes to let's make a quick buck and let's just get the easy marketing because put anything out there that's horror that's kind of like Mickey Mouse, and everybody's like, oh, let me see what they're going to do there. But that doesn't necessarily mean at the end it's a good movie or something worth really watching, unless you're like me and you're just into the blood. If you're just into the blood and guts and kills, you just disregard anything else, whether it's the acting, the story, where it's going, blah blah blah, then turn on any of these films and just watch and watch it for that, and you might be satisfied and with some of the kills, or maybe not. I will say, just kind of before putting this on, I kind of looked real quickly on IMDb, and it seems very mixed reviews for this one. Either, it's on this end or that end, not really kind of in the middle. Um, but again, it's just, I'm just using this one to kind of highlight it because I really didn't want to review this. It wasn't my intention. I watched the movie and I'm like, I'm just not. But then I'm like, I kind of felt the need to kind of have this quick discussion before I even dive into this film about these movies and just, and I think this one highlights it because, after this movie kind of finished it, I was just kind of like, the hell did this have to do with Popeye? Like, seriously, yeah, I know there's an Olive here in the movie, and she plays a role in the movie, and the killer kind of looks like Popeye, but really overall, what did it really? I admit it all the time. If I miss something, I miss something. But I mean, overall, really, what did it have to do with Popeye? Couldn't this been anybody else? This could have been any other killer in this area. Basically, we see at the beginning a kind of cartoonish kind of thing, kind of setting up the events of what's to come later, or why Popeye is the way he is. And he was bullied when he's younger, and then a tragic event happens and everybody thinks he's dead, but now he's come back many years later to kill people. But how many stories have we seen with that where look, Jason drowned in the lake and then later on comes back and is for decades come out of the dead one year, back again to kill, and whatever. So we've kind of seen that kind of thing, bullied or whatever, and killed long time ago and come back to seek revenge. And so what makes it stick out that it's Popeye? Like, besides the look of him, whatever, like what, did I miss something in Popeye? The Popeye, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm the Popeye expert or anything like that, but I don't really remember, like, what does that have to do with him? Uh, the kind of the things you remember about Popeye is obviously Olive, and I think there's a guy that he always wanted her, so he'd have to defend her honor against him, and then his look with his big arms, and then of course the spinach. Whenever he ate the spinach, and that was his thing. I don't remember seeing spinach in this movie, or whatever. Like, yeah, it might have been a little ridiculous for this killer to have to eat spinach or whatever before, but to kind of ignore that, again, I think is a big thing. Again, if I missed that and he did eat spinach and I wasn't looking at the screen when he did, or maybe that's how he came back to life or something, I don't know, then I apologize that I missed that. But I don't know, when it ended, my first thought was, what the hell did it have to do with Popeye, really, besides the look of it? That could have been anybody else. And it is a little bit annoying when you watch a film that's supposed to be about something or reflect something, and you're just like, especially a slasher movie, where you can just be like, well, I can just substitute that one with another one, and put a different mask on him, put him in a different design, and it's the same slasher movie. Like, whatever, it could have been, instead of Popeye's Revenge, it could have been Bart's Revenge, or Jerry's Revenge, or whatever. Or I just failed to really grasp what it had to do with Popeye. Yeah, he was by a lake, so it had a little bit to do with water because he's a sailorman, but it was more a lake. You don't really think of a sailor on a lake. You think of a sailor out in the open sea. So again, with that, I don't know, there was things like that just annoying to begin with, and really whatever. So as far as the film, I kind of went from A to Z. I kind of didn't tell you guys too much about what's happening in this movie or anything like that, but that's what's happening with Popeye. You get this introduction at the beginning to what happened in his past. Then you have the typical, people that are going to this cabin. You have the cast of characters that we meet that we know they're eventually going to die. On top of it, none of them are that great interesting. There's blatant, look at women in bathing suits here, and a sort of almost a sex scene there, so there's the blatant of that to just show, the women there, and so forth. And then eventually, Popeye comes and starts killing them. And there is a little bit reasoning why Popeye's there and killing and so forth. There is a little bit of background that it's not that these people just show up and he's just going to kill them because they're there. There is some attempt to give a reason for them to killing. But again, within Popeye and who he is and whatever, it just has nothing to do with nothing. So there is a little attempt of a story there. Like I said, there's what's talked about at the beginning in his background does wrap around to why this group of people are being targeted by Popeye. But the whole thing with Popeye itself really just has nothing to do with anything. I was even waiting for for a while I was like, are we even getting Olive in this movie? And then there's an appearance, and then she's very awkward. And you're like, what the hell is wrong with this? And totally different relationship there between Popeye and Olive that you would thought. And then you're like, okay, so at the end of all that, like I said, the real basis of this movie is if you're looking for some great amazing thing that they're going to do with Popeye, forget it. It's not some great thing that they've redone with his story or whatever. They could have replaced him at any point with any other killer, and it would have worked. So while they had a chance to create something very original with him as a character and so forth, I think they really failed at that. The deaths, there's some that are okay. I think, early on there's one and it kind of displayed, how strong he is. And then there's, another a little bit later on where he seemed to, have a little bit of struggle with, one of the characters and killing him. And I'm thinking, well, if he was able to do that before, why isn't he able to do that before? And, that's not only a thing. I'm not even going to put that on Popeye. We've seen that in other horror movies, and that is a little annoying. You see a killer be able to do something they really shouldn't be able to do in one scene, and then come back in another scene, and, you think, oh, well, this should be easy again, and it's just not as easy for whatever reason. So, not only a Popeye thing, but, a thing that kind of crossed my mind. I'm like, the hell, he just disposed of this person so easily, and he's struggling now. What is what is happening? But yeah, so there are some death scenes there. They're okay. I don't think anything to blow you guys away or anything like that. So if you're there for that, I would say, just watch it and see whether you like the death scenes or not. And that's it. And it gets a little bit bloody, but I don't think it's on the level of Winnie the Pooh. To the credit of everything the Winnie the Pooh movies had done is the blood and guts. That's been a lot of blood and guts in those. And I'll credit that for that. And I don't think it quite got to that level here overall. But, I think that's really the only thing to really look forward to. Besides that, I think they failed as far as giving you something, that they could have done really great with Popeye. And, as I pulled this up on IMDb, and I think I had just seen maybe a trailer or some mention of it, there's Popeye the Slayer, man. And now you see, again, what I mentioned at the top is them just going overboard with just because it's in public domain doesn't mean it's a good idea to do. Now, I didn't watch that trailer or see, much about whatever it is I saw. I didn't really get into it. So, I don't know what the idea is there, whatever. But it is here on IMDb. It does show, okay, again, someone who looks like Popeye, and now he's going to come and kill here. Okay, so the plot of this at least mentions spinach and so forth. So, maybe this one is going in a little bit better direction as far as, getting you into the Popeye world. But again, people, just because it's public domain doesn't mean it's a good idea to be used. I understand the marketing is very easy and you get horror fans hooked because, oh my God, they're going to do this character. Let's see what they do. But I don't know. I know there's more to come. There's another Mickey Mouse one to come. It doesn't mean that it's a good idea. Like pump the brakes here, and just calm down. I know everybody's trying to be the first to do Popeye, first to do this character and that character and the other thing. Take a breath. I'm going to take a breath. I'm a little worked up here in doing this, but, let's calm down and it just try to do something maybe a little bit better. I'm not asking for amazing things here, but just, you know, something that's going to, you know, make a little more sense, honor the characters a little bit more, and just, you know, get into the creative thing. And I'm not saying I'm the person of it. I'm obviously not writing and directing movies here. So, you know, but, you know, please, if we're going to go down this and continue to go down this road, you know, we need some tightening up here and so forth. So, that's it for Popeye's Revenge, even though I think I talked about the whole thing, you know, the whole public domain thing more than the movie itself. But I think that was a more interesting conversation than what anything more I would have said about this movie. So with that, I'm going to just give it a, I don't even want to shame it and give it less. I'll just give it one pool of blood. You know, I don't even, you know, like I said, I really didn't want to do this mostly and whatever, but I'll just give it one pool of blood. I'm sure I can muster in enough decent deaths in here to muster one pool of blood out of 5. That is. But we really need to do better, people. Do better. Please. Popeye the Slayer, man, and whatever else is coming, do better. horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where we have more of my reviews written and videos, certainly mostly video reviews for a while now, so you can like and subscribe and do everything else that everybody wants to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries, it is okay. I thank you for your time regardless. And Twitter, Facebook information down below. Feel free to reach out to me there. Talk about this movie, other movies, public domain movies. You like them, don't like them, in the comment section. Feel free, if you have the opposite opinion and you're just loving all of these movies and this movie was great and you just love it all and you want more, that's fine. You know, again, I'm into the blood and guts. That's fine. If we're going to bring more reasons to have more blood and guts on screen, you know, I'm okay with that. I'm just asking for, you know, just a little bit more, do something a little bit better. So with that, I'll catch you in the next review, horror fans.